Hello, this is Mike Burns with Real Property Results. This is a little more entertaining in person, so if you want to take a look at this with me, feel free to call me at 801-836-6683. But for a basic overview of the real estate purchase contract in Utah, hopefully this will be beneficial. This is part one of two, and we'll just run through this thing. One of the interesting things about the purchase contract is at the very beginning, it goes ahead and starts with the offer reference date. This date is used to identify this contract specifically through all the addenda and anything else that happens through the process. Then he goes ahead and identifies the buyer who's purchasing from the seller. In some cases, the seller is not identified on the MLS, and so you don't really know that information. It'll be left blank in some cases and filled in on addenda later on. In the new contract, this year they changed it. They gave buyers a couple different options. First option is to deliver the earnest money with the contract, or agree to deliver it no later than 4 days after acceptance. Right now in Utah, you can usually get away with $1,000 on a basic home or property as far as earnest money is concerned, and a personal check is generally accepted. Usually in Utah, it is held by the buyer's brokerage. Some banks specify that it be held by a title company or held by a listing brokerage, and so there are some differences depending on the type of property that you're purchasing. But generally speaking, it's held in the buyer's agent's trust account. If not, it is held in a trust account, so you can rest assured if that money is spent, whoever spent it is going to jail. So it is one of the safer places to have your money held. As we continue down here, the beginning part, once you've identified the earnest money and everything else, we start by identifying the property. It explains specifically what it is that we're going to purchase, the address, and if it's a unique property of some sort, you'll want to describe that property. Included items. One of the things that's important to note here is basically everything that's attached to a home is included. If it's screwed in instead of hung on a wall, it's generally speaking included. The things that are interesting is that they do cover satellite dishes, and this is consistent with most satellite companies, that those are to be left. Automatic garage door openers, which obviously are not attached, but they are also to be included with the transmitters, and any security systems as well. So it's important for a seller to identify, hey, if they're going to remove a security system, or if they've got some sort of a special transmitter or whatever, they need to exclude that in the addendum. Other included items, they've included some of the common check marks here: washers, dryers, refrigerators, water softeners, microwave ovens. The key really as a buyer is to make sure you ask for what you want, and if there's any doubt at all, it should be certain that it can be included. One of the tricky things is curtains and draperies. If you have anything hanging close to a window that looks like a curtain or a drapery, you'll want to be careful with that, because people can and will ask for that, or after you've moved and taken it with you, they might be upset. So you have to be careful about what you make sure you're very specific on what's included. Excluded, a lot of times if someone's got a abandoned car or a broken down shed or something you really want to make sure is taken from the property, you'll exclude it here. Water service. This is, generally speaking, on a home that's in a neighborhood in a city, not a big issue. On a more rural property, it becomes important to make sure that water rights and water shares are conveyed properly, so that you don't lose those in the transfer of property. Even inside of a city, occasionally you'll see a home that has water shares or a well permit or well rights, which is interesting. You can see that right in the middle of the town. I'm familiar with a newer home in Lehigh where they actually do have a well on the property and a well permit, and so that's something that they could actually, with the help of the state, move that off the site. So if that was important to a buyer, you'd have to make sure you specify that. But in most cases, it doesn't matter. Section 2 is basically going to cover the amount of money and how it's going to be paid for, and so you just make sure that all those numbers add up and that you've got it addressed. We'll do a separate section on seller financing. That's a topic unto itself, and a very interesting one. So basically, by going through this, we've identified the property, we've said what we're going to pay for it, and the next 6 pages are all going to go over the details of how the actual process is going to happen, and in most cases how a buyer can bail and not lose their earnest money. So we'll go over that in the next sections.